Hello and welcome back. I'm going to be trying to figure out what to do with these envelopes to make them more special for our sympathy cards. I stamped this feather from the Gina K set here. Oh, I got some gold in there. From the Gina K set. Let me turn it over for you so you can see it. And I love this set. It comes with, didn't come with it, I think I bought them separate, the dies that go with, and each one of them has their own, there's 3 dies. I have them over here on the side. There are 3 dies, and we stamped this one down here, and the idea is that we want to keep things flat if we're going to put it through the mail. Whenever you're putting your decorations, embellishments, stamping, things like that, whatever it is you're going to do to your envelopes, try to keep them flat if you can. The other day from this Christmas, I had a friend put an actual sticker. It was one of the little puffier one, and they put it on their card up in the corner to kind of make it look nice, but the machine, when it went through, caught it and ripped open the envelope. Then the post office took the envelope in the card and had to put it into a separate envelope from them to keep all the contents in there and deliver it, which delayed the delivery. But luckily, the card was not messed up too much. It was, the corner was a little bent and a little haggard looking, but considering what it had gone through, it wasn't too bad. All right, so let's take a look at this then. So this is my, remember the cards look something like this, and we did decorate the insides on a different video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how the colors that we used and how we can decorate this to make it look a little bit more special. But again, because it's a sympathy card, we don't want to make it too elaborate where it looks bells and whistles. You know, we want it to look more like, hey, been thinking about you. So I got out this color. Sometimes people want to know the colors. This is what I use for, I have 2 sets of markers, alcohol markers. This particular one I got from Amazon, and I've liked it a lot. There's 2 different sides. They work fine. I also have the tri-tips, which I really like because you don't really have to think about these too much if you want to blend. But if I want to just use a marker, a lot of times, and the colors, these fill in. I don't have that many of the tri-tips. I think I have 1 set. I don't remember how many that is exactly. 24, something like that. And then I have a set of these that I bought first, and they fill in a lot of the colors. So I thought this color was kind of close to Mermaid Lagoon, and at least it's darker than this, so I thought it would look good going through. I did try it out. I do have swatches of all my markers, so I do know what they look like if I take the swatches out and look at them. That's a whole nother problem for another day. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I wanted to look at the die that Gina K made. So ideally, the die goes on here, and what happens is you can either cut it out of something with the outline around it, or as we did for one of the cards the other day, you can cut it out and make it, here's the white one, and here's the gold one. So you can do that as well. You see how this one used that. And what I did is I stamped it on here to see if it was going to stamp all right. And it stamped really well, so I was very happy. So I'm going to look at this. And what I want to do, you always want to put something in when you're using alcohol markers. So put another piece of cardstock or something in there. Now, ideally, if it goes through all the way, you got another one already done. If it doesn't, at least you've got protection so the backside of your envelope is not going to look bad. Okay? All right, I'm going to move these out of the way so I have more room because, you know, we all like to have a lot of room. So what I'm going to do is look at this and kind of try to copy it a little bit to make it look really nice. Hopefully this goes well. So I'm going to put a little curl at the top, and I'm just going to come through here like this. And then I'm going to take my time and go around these. And that way, kind of mimics what the die would do, but it's flat. And then that way I don't have to worry about it getting caught into the machine or anything like that. So this one comes around. If you notice, they start to circle around a little bit more. So I'm going to try and do that. And you can make it a little bit thicker down here, which is what it looks like. So it comes through here, and then it has a little curly Q here and a little curly Q here. Again, no one's going to be looking at the one that you have up there. No one's going to say, hey, that doesn't match Gina K's exactly. And if they do, they come off your list for next time you're sending out cards. But, you know, they're not going to know. Most of the people I give cards to don't know who Gina K is. They're lost, I understand, but still. Every once in a while someone does. So here, I think this is a pretty good example of nice little decoration. Now I'm going to go through and make it look a little bit better in the places that I can. And again, keep in mind that, you know, it's not going to come out looking as good as a die. It's going to look like you drew it. And then they're going to be really impressed because how did you draw that? Ooh, very nice. They're not going to know that you had a stamp to do it, but it still portrays a pretty good idea of a feather. Now, if you don't have anything like this particular one, you can always just stamp whatever it is that you put on the front, and I think that looks nice. But because I don't have anything that I can put on without lifting it up, I wanted to do this. What I like to do as well is use some washi tape and put it on, especially these. These have a nice flat back. But for this one, what I think I'm going to do instead, I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to get out my May Made It. And I think we're going to do Thinking of You. And I think putting that right there where they're opening it will be a nice way for them to see that and get a little bit of idea of like, oh, isn't this nice? Someone's thinking of us, you know, kind of thing. So that way, when you give it to someone, or if you mail it, they'll automatically know what it's about. I might regret this, but let's try it in peacock feathers. I might not like the way this comes out, so I'm just gonna give it a try and see. The worst that can happen is I have to put something over it and continue. So again, remember, you really want to make sure that you're letting it transfer and you got equal amounts, but don't rock it. If you rock it, you get in trouble. That's the, just make sure you get it everywhere. And there, I think that came out really well. And I think that'll be nice for whoever receives it. Okay, so I'm using the pencil here to color in some of the leaves here, just to kind of give it a little bit something else. I like it like the way it was, but I just think it needed a little bit more depth, a little bit something more to it. So I think this looks a lot better. That line was a little thick. I probably could have used a thinner line, but I still think this looks nice, so I'm pretty happy with it. Don't be afraid to mix up your mediums, you know. If you use one, then you can use the other. I like to use pencil. Color pencils for me a lot are like correctors. They kind of correct what you did wrong. So One of my favorite things to do is using some sort of stencils. I like using stencils because they're easy, they're flat, they go on the envelope, they look nice. And same with stamps. Now, I do have some stamps in here, and I thought about trying to use the colored stamps like we did on the one where it looks like it's falling down on the side. And we could do that with the little ones, and that would be pretty simple. But I think it kind of makes it look almost like festive. So I'm trying to stay away from festive. I'm trying to keep it more downplayed a little bit. So this is a Vicki Boutin. I really like her stencils. They come 3 in a pack, and they're like $6. And different times I've bought a few different ones. And the main reason I bought them was not only were they a good price, but they really stencil well. So if you don't have any kind of grip mat or something to hold it down, I would suggest taping it down with some tape. I have this Make Art, and I do have a grip pad on here. It's Wendy Becky's Make Art, and it has I like this a lot, but this is kind of big. And in fact, all of Vicki Boutin's are kind of big, which is nice. So I think instead I would like to use my tape and tape it down. I think that will get me a better product here. So here we go. I'm going to do this one here. And you saw what I did there, right? That was wrong. I'm going to do it again. I got it right over, line it up. It's always easier if you line it up with it's easier if you line it up with the lines on whatever it is you're working on. I usually work on my glass mat, so I'm a little more versed in what that does, but and you're probably thinking, so you're going to color this whole thing, and then how are you going to put the address on here? No, I'm not going to color the whole thing. In fact, I advocate that you don't color the whole thing, because if you do, you're going to end up with a hard time you're going to have to put something on it. I've been there and done that too. And again, whenever you're sticking something up, what I tend to do if I do put something on an envelope and mail it, like if it's sticking up like a label or something, I like to put clear tape over the whole thing so it doesn't get stuck in that machine. But then you got clear tape all over the place. It just becomes a whole nother problem. Let's put it that way. So you notice this isn't down very good over here, so I'm going to make this down really good. Okay, so now here's a little bit at the top. So when you fold it over, you'll see that. And what I want to do is use the colors that we had. So we had Salvage Patina. Let me do this instead. I don't know if you can see it over here or not. Let me move everything over a little bit so you can see better. Ideally, when you're using one of these, what you want to do is take off the lids and go between them. But I'm going to caution you that if you do that, it's real easy to get caught up and not use the right one. And I have a different one for each one for a reason. So what I tend to do is keep the lids on them. And that's why I do it, just so I don't accidentally just start, in the next color, because I will do that. So what I would suggest is think about it this way. The area in here and here is the area that you can be the darkest. If you want to go over here, you can do it and be light. I would even suggest using the brushes, if you've got some brushes. My brushes I only use for oxide, so I'm not going to be able to use the brushes. I'm going to have to be a little more light-handed and use the brush, the blending, these guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a little light practicing my light. And I'm trying to go through, hope you can see this. I'm trying to go through here on kind of an angle, right through the middle. Now, I did make it a little bit darker over here, and what you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I can hardly see anything. This is true. You can hardly see anything. And as soon as you take this up, you'll say, holy cow, that was a lot. Don't get fooled into thinking because it's light, it's not there. It actually is. And that has fooled me many times, especially with a nice white stencil, because you're putting the color on it, and now it's colored it. So you're not really seeing. All right, let's do the Salvage Patina. So what I thought I would do is do the lighter color, the Salvage Patina down here. And I don't think this one's been used as much, so I'm going to try to get a little bit darker over here. Then as I go up, a little bit like that. Okay. Again, don't be fooled. You're looking at it and you're thinking, there's nothing there. It's very light, but again, you have to write over it, and if you get fooled, and you can always make it darker, but once you put it down, you can't get it back up. So I advocate for layers if you're going to do that. So next we're going to do the peacock feathers, and this area up here, I have a an address that has it's like a sheet, you know, of stickers, small, narrow ones that have your address on them. And I use those a lot, and they go right over this really nice. So I don't have to worry about that. If you have to worry about that, you might not want to make it so dark up here. But, all right. Now we're going to do what Tim Holtz says to do, which is basically you make a hinge, and you open it up on the hinge. So you open it up like this so you can see and put it back if you need to, if it's what you want. And I'm pretty happy with that, actually. Okay. So I think I'm going to leave that and be happy with that, because it's dark, but it's dark in the right places. I like the way it looks. So I'm going to leave that. Now, hang on to this tape. We're gonna use this, and we might use it for the next thing we do even. So, all right. So what I did is I have this, and then I'm going to turn it over, and I think I'm going to try. I think the last one I did with peacock feathers. So I think I'm going to do peacock feathers again on this one. If it wasn't peacock feathers, that's okay. I'm going to do peacock feathers on this one. So hopefully, you see this right here? This is where I mess up. That's the kind of mess up I would make. So you're better off cleaning it before you set it down. Otherwise, you end up with this all over. All right. More peacock feathers, because now I think I might have taken some off. All right. Right here, middle, and hold it down for a little bit. Let it just sit there and transfer, and don't rock, but make sure you get everything. Try not to rock. There's a little bit right there, and if you rock, you're going to get that. And see, comes out really nice. So that'll be on the back, which I think is nice. And that's a more subdued one. And this is where most of the time they end up putting the strip going across, so that won't be seen anyway. But I think that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to allow this one to be the one that I give by hand, and I'll keep that in mind when the time comes. Like, these are all very similar, but this one needs to have a little bit of care with it. Okay, so let's do Mermaid Lagoon. I think that would be the best one. Maybe not. Yeah, let's do Mermaid Lagoon. I think that'll be the best one. All right, so again, I'm going to be super brave here. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm going to give it a try. And hopefully, what I found a lot of times too is if you take your pad and put it onto it transfers better than when you're trying to get that little bitty bit, you know, this way. So let's give it a try and do this. Do this. Again, just make sure you put pressure everywhere. Good. I like it. There's a little spot there, but that's okay. It's a feather. You know, feathers are not perfect, and neither am I. So here we go. Yeah, got a little bitty mark right there, a little bitty one, but that's okay. All right, so if we're going to use this one, I have this one over here, but I don't have one of those. I think I'm going to do it on white so it stays pretty thin. Again, I plan on handing this one out in person, so I'm not as worried about it. I'm going to go ahead and do one of them with the idea that it will be do one of them with the idea that I'm going to give it to someone in person. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to use this color here. I like it. And I think I'm going to use this. We'll put this in here as a shim. We'll see how that looks. I think it'll look pretty good with our feather. We'll see. You know, it's called playing for a reason. You play around and see what you like, and, you know, if you like it, good. Oh, that came out really nice. See, little shim in there. Came out really good. All right. And then I've got another little dry embossed one here. If I want to use that later for something, I might do that. All right, let's see how this looks in the tan color. I just think it might look nice to have this on here as opposed to the brown as opposed to the blue, just for something different. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, let me get out the glue. We'll glue this. And just like I said before when we were gluing one of these, you know, you don't have to glue every little spot. You just need to glue the important spots. I think feathers are a nice neutral, like, I mean, you could make a birthday card with them or something, but I don't see that being the primary reason for them. I think a thinking of you card or, you know, something like that. Feathers are kind of nice. They're not, they're very low-key. They're not going to offend anybody. You know, it's not like you're sending them balloons. So once again, we got a little bit of play time here, not much. So try to get it in there the best you can. Oh, I left that in there. Did you see that? That's one of those mistakes that you make and you go, huh, how did that happen? Thought I got them all out. There you go. Now I did. All right. If you want to see mistakes and how to fix them, I'm your person. Yeah, I've pretty much done them all, I think. And I don't think this is so bad, but here's what I'm going to do. So you get a colored pencil and you just kind of fill it in a little bit. and then no one's eye is going to go right to it. You can also take this, I noticed a little bit on the tips, fill in there if you want, fill in at the bottom if you want. All you're doing is keeping people from, no one's going to study it that hard, especially on the envelope. They're probably going to take it out of the envelope and throw the envelope away. Let's be real. Very rarely do people keep an envelope. So you're not really, and you know, after it gets all the stuff on it, oh, that's right, we're not sending this one. We're handing it to them, so can't blame it on the postage then. So, but you know, they're not gonna look at it that hard. I think that sometimes that looks nice though when you add the little bit of stuff in there, and if you can see, like, it looks a little bit better than just the way it was, but I like it. I like it very much. And this was a good color pencil to go with it. It's nice if you can find colors that coordinate, especially with pencils or alcohol markers, things like that. And now I would just put the person's name over here and give it to them. So because I used peacock feathers there, I'm going to use it on here again. And here we go. Again, press down. Don't rock. Give it time. It comes out good. All right. So those are our 3 envelopes for today. So I hope you enjoyed this little series of creating cards from beginning to end. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.